stop you right there. Who are your influences on interviews? Because when people think about Jake the Snake Roberts, sure, they think of the DDT, but the psychology of drawing them in and making them care in your promos, and people still play that WrestleMania promo with you and DiBiase on the regular on social media. Who are your influences and who helped teach you that piece of the business?
I did that myself. And the reason being, with my voice, I had a knee drop to my throat very early, and it crushed my voice box. So I can't yell. If I try to yell, nothing comes out. Nothing comes out. And I caught on pretty early that if you're screaming at people like everybody else, I couldn't keep that intensity for a long period of time with my voice. So I had to go low. But then I also figured it out that if you go low, it entices people to listen.
Yes.
And I tell kids today, if you go into a crowded room with 100 people and you start screaming, people just laugh at you, blow you off. But if you go into a crowded room and you grab one person, you go, "A secret I got to tell you." Everybody in the damn room wants to lean over and hear this shit. So that kind of made me think, all right. And I just didn't, I wanted to make people think on my interviews. I mean, Terry Funk, I guess, influenced me some, and
I could say
of
that.
course, Dusty.
Yeah, of course.
But, Dusty influenced everybody. But Terry Funk probably more than most. Yeah.
I got to tell you, when I going back to when I was 23 and I had those 3 matches, I stopped wrestling. Then WrestleMania came and blew through the roof. And I stopped watching for years. When I watched Jake for that first time, because I was going through the channels and caught Jesse Ventura and Gorilla Monsoon. And then Jake comes out and I'm watching him and I can't see through his shit, and he cuts that promo and I called my buddy John Shipley, who we broke in together, trying in the beginning. He lasted a couple of years, as a jobber. And I called him up. I go, "Bro, you seen Jake Roberts in the ring?" He's like, "Yeah, man, he's fucking great." I go, "Did I missed something? I mean, because his shit looks real. Like, because there's some shit that's real." He goes, "Don't be a mark, you stupid fuck." But I was watching him as a fan at a time where it hadn't happened yet, where Vince didn't expose everything yet. You know what I mean? And so I'm thinking, well, man, maybe some of them are like, stiffer on you. But I think I couldn't see through it. And his promos were so real, and then I thought, man, he sucked me right back in as a fan,
I just wanted to be different. And, Terry Funk, I remember seeing Terry Funk do an interview and he's out.
Another guy you would believe was real.
Oh yeah.
So,
He's out, it's out in the country and there's fields behind him and cameras there. He's like, "Mr. Cameraman, you see all this land behind me? Take a picture of that." "Yeah, my daddy owns that land." "Mr. Cameraman, please go to your right, my left. Look at that land. You see all that land over there? My daddy owns it. Now, let's go to the right, your left. Check that out. Beautiful, ain't it? My daddy owns that. Now turn your camera around." Guy turns the camera around. "You see all that land over there? All that? My daddy knows the guy that owns that land." Bottom line is, don't land anywhere near me. My daddy won't like it. And that was the end of his interview. What the fuck was that? But he made you listen because you didn't know what he was going to say.
I don't think he knew what he was going to say sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's what taught me to not do it like everybody else. I couldn't yell and scream like the other guys could. I couldn't hold that intensity for a 2-minute interview. I just couldn't do it. So I had to go a different way, man. And I went the quiet way, the whisper way. It worked. It worked well.
It worked.
So when you were talking about going to Calgary from Japan, again, this is pre-email, this is pre-social media, pre-cell phone. How in the world would Stu book you when you're in Japan? How does he even reach you to do that?
He booked me from Vancouver because Vancouver's television went all across Canada.
I see.
See, it was on CNE or whatever it is. So Stu had been watching me for some period of time, and it just seemed natural since I was that far north. I might as well get this one too.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a line of people asking for me. You know, nobody knew me.
Did you get the dungeon experience?
Oh yeah. Went to the dungeons many a times, and I can tell you lots of stories sometime. I lived with Bret Hart for a while.
Wow.
Good guy.
A really bad thing happened there with his dad, but it wasn't my fault. I'd hurt my leg wrestling Junkyard Dog, who at the time was Sylvester Ritter, a black pimp. That was his gimmick. And I wound up on the couch at Brett's house for about 2 weeks. And I was having to ice my leg 10 minutes every hour, 24 hours a day. And so I had this cute young lady taking care of me. Lots of different ways. But anyway, Brett and I were watching tapes of guys that had wrestled, and one of them was Leo Burke, a great wrestler from Canada. In fact, I'd done a trip to Japan with him, and he had wrestled in Calgary many times, and he used a sleeper hold. Well, at the time, I was using Dickie Steinborn, of all people, was the booker in Canada when I got my opportunity in Calgary. And he wanted my finish to be not just the sleeper, but check it out, folks, the quick sleeper.
The quick sleeper?
Yeah. I could put you out in about 4 seconds. You know, that was the whole gimmick. So we're watching Leo Bird put people out with sleepers, and then somebody else put a sleeper on them, and how they get in and out of the sleeper, you know, different ways to do that. Well, Stu come over to check on me. And when he did, he seen us watching those tapes. He goes, and Leo's a hell of a wrestler. He top son of a bitch. A lot of respect for that young man. Yeah, his sleeper hold of his isn't bad. It's not near nothing like mine. He goes, you're full of shit. He said, don't think for a minute that's fucking scaring anybody, especially me. I went, what the fuck do you have? Hey, let me tell you something. I can put you to sleep about 8 different ways. The fuck you can. You're full of shit, man. No fucking way. Nobody has 8 different ways to put a sleeper. And God almighty damn, man. Brett was laying in the floor and Stu just mauled him like an old bear. This is the first one. Latched it on, and I don't know how he put his arms and shit, but man, Brett's legs were fucking flying, and he's slapping the floor, you know, and out he goes. Stu gets up to one knee, and that's the first one. Now this next one, you watch how I apply this. Said, wake up, son. And he slaps him, and his dread starts coming too. And Brett, he does out again. About the 4th